guys, my name is Maddie or Books with Maddie. Welcome back. Today I am doing a new video I've never done before. I've never seen anybody else do this, but like it's so possible this isn't that creative an idea, but like I didn't know what to name this. So I'm calling it What to Read If, and basically it's like what to read if, and then fill in a sentence like if you like something, like, you know what I mean? I wrote down some prompts. I didn't like ask anybody for prompts, but I like thought of ones that like I hear people frequently ask for. It's just gonna be a whole bunch of recommendations. It's gonna be super chill. I did just want to say a quick thank you to everybody who subscribed, because I have like 120 something subscribers now, and like that's insane, and like I'm very nervous like now, because like before it was like, oh, I'm just posting to the same like 20 people who always watch. Now there's like people who actually watch it, and that's like very scary. But like, thank you to everybody who subscribed. Welcome to anybody who's new. If this is your first video, welcome. It's chaotic here. It's wild times. I hope you enjoy, and I'm just gonna honestly get into this. Okay, I have a list. I've actually began to plan out my videos and like write notes and stuff. Like, who is she? So the first prompt that I thought of was, oh, the name of this I came up with, Read This Book If. With either of those. Read this book if, or whatever I said before. Whatever. I don't know. You'll find out when you see the title. So the first one is read this book if you like morally gray characters. Now, if you don't know what morally gray characters are, it basically means like usually in books there's like a hero and a villain, and like obviously the hero is like morally good and the villain is morally bad. But a morally gray character is like you can't decide if they're good or bad. It's like a really good morally gray character is like paradoxical. Basically, it's like you don't want to be on their side, but like they have justified actions. I love morally gray characters personally. I think it makes a book so much more realistic and in depth. I think that like it makes characters three-dimensional when they're kind of morally gray, because nobody is ever perfectly good or perfectly bad. Like, nobody's just one of those things. Everybody has like a little bit of both, and I think morally gray characters are kind of the most realistic characters, but they're not always the most likable. So for this one, there's lots of morally gray characters, but I picked out two books that have some of my two favorite morally gray characters who I think are the most like realistic and paradoxical characters. Okay, the angle has definitely changed. My camera fell. Good news, I bought a tripod, but it's not here yet. So we're still using the shoebox and the stack of books situation. But anyway, so morally gray characters. So I thought that Coriolanus, I don't know how to pronounce his name, from Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, President Snow, is extremely a morally great character, because he is the protagonist. He's supposed to be, you know, the person you're rooting for, but he's pretty morally corrupt in some ways, but other ways his actions are justified, and so it's really hard to decide whether you like him as a character or not, because some of the things you're like, well, this is human instinct, this is like what I would have done in this situation, even though it's not right. And that's what makes somebody morally gray. If they do something you would have done in a situation, even though it's not right. I thought he was a great morally gray character. And I think that it kind of didn't translate across as well as like it. Some people didn't like it because they didn't really see that part of it, but that's a really great example of morally gray character. The second one is, this is the ultimate morally gray character I've ever read about. This is like the most intensely morally gray character, and I have still not made a decision about them if I like them or not. I don't know. I can't figure it out. I can't figure out if they're good or bad, and it is, I won't say who the character is because it's kind of a spoiler, but it's a character from the book All the Truth That's in Me by Julie Berry. And basically there's a character in this book who makes some pretty questionable decisions, but does something that potentially redeems those situations. And you find out at the end that perhaps those decisions were justified in some weird way. And like, I can't really say much. This book is a historical fiction mystery romance book. It's written by Julie Berry, who wrote Lovely War, if you've heard of that book. Basically, it follows a character named Judith. She was kidnapped for 2 years and had her tongue cut off. And she's back now. She's unable to communicate what happened to her or who did whatever happened to her, but she's kind of like outcast now, like nobody really pays attention to her. And it basically follows her journey of like being kind of mistreated by her family and by her community, and what really happened over those 2 years where she was gone. Honestly, I only gave this book 3 stars. I didn't really enjoy it, but if you go through the discussion questions at the end, they will bend your actual mind, and if you like morally great characters, then holy crows, you will like this book. It is insane how morally great this book character is. And if you read it, please, like, DM me on Twitter or Instagram or wherever, or I don't know if you can private message on YouTube, I don't know, but literally, like, I need to know what other people think about this. I really do. So the next one is what to read if you like found family tropes. This is one of my favorite tropes of all time. It's basically like when a friend group becomes so close that they're kind of like a found family situation. So the first 2 are both fantasy. So the first one is 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. This is like one of the most basic examples of found family. It follows 6 characters who must perform a heist and along the way grow very close in friendship. Grow a very close friendship. They become friends, close friends. Okay, this is one of my favorite books. You should read it if you haven't. The other one is another very basic example. Also has a bird theme, weirdly enough. The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. This is like the definition of a found family book. There's 4 books all about these 4 boys who are basically become each other's family. They become each other's safety. And it's really wonderful. The characters are the best part of this book by far. I love the characters. I adore them. The next 2 actually are both historical fiction. The first one is Salt of the Sea by Rudis Petties. I just read this and it wasn't as heavily enforced a found family trope, but there was kind of that like element, especially because it takes place during World War II, so people oftentimes would rely on one another, people they would never have found without, you know, the war. And so there was a little bit of that about like finding people throughout like tragedy and things like that. There was a little bit of found family aspect in this, but I think the ultimate found family historical fiction book is the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. This follows a woman named Juliet as she is planning on writing a novel about this island called Guernsey, and she ends up beginning to communicate with the residents of the island and becomes very attached to them, ends up going to the island and finding them, and basically they make up this big giant family, and it's beautiful and lovely, and I love it so much, and you will too, I guarantee it. If you like found family and you haven't read this, you will love it. It is like so good. Okay. Next is going to be more of a character recommendation. If you like this certain type of character, you will find this character in this book. If you want a polite boy, if you want a boy who will open doors for you and you can bring home to your parents and who will be a gentleman, if you would like a gentleman, let me introduce you to some gentlemen, okay? Welcome. So the first gentleman is Gansey, Richard Gansey III from the Raven Boys. This is just like polite boy. He's just like your basic average white polite boy with glasses and who's obsessed with finding a dead Welsh king, you know, that type of boy. If you want the ultimate respectful gentleman, let me introduce you to Mr. Reed Diggory from Serpent and Dove. The respect. This man is respectful. That's all I have to say. But he is a respectful man and I am here for it. No more toxic relationships and YA fantasy. I'm done with it. I'm over it. I am so over it. I want more characters like this. I want respectful boys. Okay, next we have your neighborhood boy who's just like nice and polite and innocent. This is what we are looking for. Innocent boy. You want innocent boy? I will deliver you an innocent boy whose name is August. This is like, you know, obviously, y'all know August. He's a bean. He's just like your average little innocent flower boy. It's like honestly a great time. He's just so innocent and lovely and wonderful, and like he's just such a good person. If you want a good person, you want an innocent good person, August. If you want a gentleman, if you want the ultimate gentleman, here he comes. Are you ready? The ultimate gentleman, the love of my life, James from Lovely War. I'm telling you, I would die for this man. If you're a man out there and you're like, man, what should I do to impress women? Be like these aforementioned men, any of them. Polite, respectful, all men need to take a lesson from these men, okay? I'm telling you right now, men would be so much better if they all acted like this. Gosh, we'd have so many less problems. Okay, I know there is a certain demographic of people out there who are like, I would like a boy who has issues. Who has many, many issues. I don't know why I've adopted this accent. Perhaps it's because I don't agree with this. Not that I don't think boys are allowed to have issues. I'm just saying y'all really like them broken. Y'all really want them broken boys. Alright, I will give you broken boys. Let me give you the ultimate PTSD boy. Mr. Kaz Brecker! Can't even touch human skin. You are broken. Kaz is as broken as it freaking gets, okay? We are talking can't touch human skin, needs to be wearing gloves at all times, can't really express his feelings, no family, can't express friendship in a healthy manner besides fighting. Serving you up issues on a platter. I'm back to tell you that the next one also has issues. Let me present to you Day/and/or Daniel. Don't remember his last name. This boy has issues. Many issues. We're talking doesn't have a family, is trying to overthrow the government by himself, very arrogant, problems with relationships. If you want a dystopian boy with issues, may I recommend to you Day. Okay, so you're looking for why am I Italian now? You're looking for a boy with issues who's a contemporary. You're not into the fantasy. You're not into dystopia. You want a boy who has issues in the real world. May I introduce you to Sam from Emergency Contact. Very problematic person. Tattoos, lives in the place that he works because he doesn't have a home. Very toxic relationship. He's just going through it. He's really going through it. And like, honestly, my heart goes out to him. But if you're looking with somebody with issues, here you go. I'm going to now recommend you a boy with issues whom I despise. I don't want to recommend this book because I didn't like it at all. But I'm going to do it anyway because I know all of the people out there. I see the TikToks. I see them. Yes, I'm addicted to TikTok. If you want a problematic king, if you want all of the problems, all of the toxicity, can't believe I'm doing this. How low I've fallen. I did not like Warner. I have not read the next 2 books, so I can't tell you how I feel about him in those, but honestly, my gosh, the men in this book were trash. Honest trash. Like, honestly, just throw them out. Just no. Toxic. No. Stop. Absolutely not. Not here for it. But if you want a boy with issues, oh my gosh. Might be more problematic than Kaz. I can't really tell you because I haven't finished the series, but holy gosh. I cannot continue with that line of suggestion. Alright, moving on from that, we have if you want angst. If you want some freaking angst on angst on angst, I've got some recommendations for you, sir. Now, I hate angst. Personally, I think it's so frustrating. I severely lower books ratings when they have angst because I can't stand it. I hate angst. I hate it. I can't. No, I'm not here for it, but I will give you angst because I know some of you have poor mental health and you want angst. You want to feel something, and so I will give it to you. Okay, the first book with like the ultimate angst is Normal People by Sally Rooney. Honestly, just angst on angst on angst on angst, like real, just layering it thick. We got thick amounts of angst in this book. It is intense the entire time. Literally, this book might be like just entirely made of angst. The second one that I'll recommend is called While You Were Mine. I can't remember who wrote it. Put a screenshot here. I don't have it. I read it on ebook. This angst is like beyond anything I've ever read before. I hated it. I gave it 2 stars. I hated it, but I knew in my mind, I was like, other people would really enjoy this. It's historical fiction. It takes place right at the close of World War II. It follows a woman who is, without meaning to, without trying, is left to care for a child which is not hers. And all of a sudden, she becomes really attached to it and realizes that she loves this child, and she knows that she technically shouldn't have it, but she doesn't really know what to do, and she's not really trying that hard because she kind of has become really attached to this child. All of a sudden one day, John appears at her doorstep, who has been off in the war, but is the father of the child. Oh my gosh. What's he gonna do? Is he gonna take away the child? Maybe. I can't tell you that because you have to find out. But does something else happen between 2 main characters? I don't know. Maybe that's where the angst comes from. I don't know why I'm being so weird today, but it's happening. Okay, if you want books with very little romance, so I know a lot of people like ask for books with very little romance because that's like not appealing to everybody, which is totally fair. This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab, really no romance. There's like tiny bit in the second book, but like really like very little, like pretty much none at all. Another one is Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. This is written in verse. It follows these 2 girls who realize that they are sisters after their father dies, and they didn't know they were sisters. One lives in Dominican Republic, I believe, and the other lives in New York City. There is like a tiny bit of romance. One of them is in a relationship, but it's really like a very minor plot point and like not the focus at all of the story. Another one with very little romance is Blood, Water, Paint by Joan McCullough. This has basically none, I think. This is also a book written in verse. It follows the story of Artemisia Gentileschi, who is a painter. It follows her rape and how she copes with that through painting, as well as copes with her mother's death and grief and like all of these really important, moving pieces to the story. It is wonderful. I totally recommend it, and very little romance at all. Actually, none. I don't think there's any romance in this book. And last one is Middle Game by Seanan McGuire. I did read this like a little over a year ago, so I don't remember there being any romance. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments below, but I really don't think that there's any romance in this book. There's basically no romance in this book. There's like some like mentions of like dates and stuff like that, but really it's such a minor plot point that it's like pretty much not there as far as I remember. But if I'm incorrect in that, please let me know. And the next one is kind of the opposite. If you want something that's just like really cute and fluffy and romancy and like, oh yes, love, with really great characters, I've got some recs for you. First is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This follows a romance between Prince of England and the first son of America as they come to the terms that they might not be enemies. They might be in love, okay? That might be the case. It was lovely, and the characters were phenomenal in this book. I loved them so much. It was so good. Highly recommend if you haven't read it yet. The other one is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. This is very fluffy. This is like my safety read whenever I'm like sad. I read this book because it's just so good. It's so pure. It's just a feel-good book. You know what I mean? It's just, the characters are just phenomenal. I love the characters. I love the story. Yeah, yes. Okay, and lastly, this is my favorite category probably, and it is books that like make you think about morality or have like a larger application. So books that basically, the lessons in the books can be applied to a larger mindset that can be utilized in your day-to-day life or will help you think about things differently in your life. So I have a couple recommendations for this, and let's go. So the first one is Scythe by Neil Shusterman. This book basically takes place in a utopian world where no one is able to die. So people basically live forever until a scythe comes and kills them. And people who are scythes basically get to decide who lives and dies and when they get to live and die. And it takes a look at what allows us to be in charge of the lives of others and like different questions of morality and society and life and death. It just has like these greater questions that like resonate from this book, and I wish I could give a more in-depth examples of those questions, but honestly it's been a really long time since I've read this book, I didn't like necessarily love it. I loved that aspect of it, but like I didn't super connect with the characters, which is a me thing because everybody loves this book. So don't let that hold you back from reading it if you haven't read it yet. Next one is a dystopian, which Scythe is kind of a dystopian, but it's more of a utopian. So the next one is The Grace Year by Kim Liggett. I had like a lot of mixed feelings about this book. I think that it had a really great premise. The delivery was like so, but the messages that it brought up I think were really important. Especially, this is the Target Club pick, and it had a message from the author about why she wrote it, and I thought that was really impactful. It talked a lot about this like fire that a lot of times young women have, you know, when they're like growing up, and how that fire gets kind of dampened, and like what happens to these like free, fun, loving girls that grow up, and then all of a sudden, why are they told to sit quietly? What does that do to women, and how does that silence them? And it had like a lot of questions like that. I thought that was really, really powerful. But like, where does that fire go? You know what I mean? Like what? And it's a metaphor inside of this book for the magic inside of the girls. If you read this book, you know what I'm talking about. The magic inside of these girls that they get when they're 16. That's the metaphor, I believe. So I'd like to do a little bit more of a deconstruction of my thoughts about this book if you're interested in seeing that. But I think it brought up a lot of really important and interesting questions. Something to think about if you've read the book. Or if you haven't and you read the book, there you go. Those are all the categories I have. I would love to do this video again. If you have any prompts that you want me to fill in, so like read this book if, and then you guys like answer any prompts you want me to, you know, continue doing. Even if it's the most random prompt out there, like even if it's like super specific, something, I will try to find one to fit it. I really hope you enjoyed. This video idea came to me out of like nowhere, and so I hope it's a good idea. I just kind of went with it. I don't know if like it was smart to do or not, but I really needed a video for today. I hope you found some good recommendations. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know if you're gonna pick up any of these books, because I'm really curious to see which ones, or if you have any answers for the prompts that I said, let me know down below, because I would love to read those. I really hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have a great day. Make sure to like and subscribe down below, and I will see you very, very soon.